trying to upside down, Bowen.
I don't want you to.
A quote from Adolf Hitler. I do not see why man should not be just as cruel as nature. My sources came from brainyquote.com, sweet101.com, historyplace.com, Wikipedia, orador.info, thinkexist.com, enotes.com, findarticles.com, and another one from thinkexist.com. My name is Hannah Wolf, and I did my speech on Hitler and what affected his ways and his childhood. In his childhood, he dealt with a lot of abuse from his father, physical and emotional. He had many siblings, but most of them died, and they didn't really see him as bad. And my third point is theories on what affected his behavior to make him the way he was. Hitler influenced so many people, so naturally someone might ask, what made him that way? When he grew up in an abusive household. His father beat him and his stepbrother on a regular basis, and his mother was very overprotective of him, though, because she lost so many children that she didn't want anything to happen to him. So there's a story that I found that one time his father came home from work and he was beating Hitler, and so his mother threw her body on top of him to protect him and took the beating herself. Hitler had dreams of going to a classical school and becoming a famous artist. He spent a lot of his time doing watercolors and drawing and painting, but his father wanted him to be in some kind of civil job, so he made sure that he attended a technical school and got an education there. But Hitler, a lot of things say he, out of defiance, made very poor grades and failed on purpose because he wanted his dad to take him out of the school. But he actually enjoyed his history class a lot, and he made good grades in that one. And he was kept back from a couple grades because of his poor grades that he made. His father died when Hitler was 13 years old of a lung hemorrhage. He was going on his morning walk to, I believe it was like a hotel, and he died in the hotel, and Hitler, surprisingly, was very, very devastated by this, and couldn't believe that this happened to his dad. And his dad, who was, I believe, 23 years older than his mother, was retired, and then Hitler, who was very close to his mom because she was so protective of him, she died when Hitler was 18. She had developed breast cancer and went through a lot of treatments and stuff, and so Hitler stayed out of school, and he stayed home with his mother and took care of her until she died. Blood is thicker than water. People know Hitler as just himself. They don't really think, does he have siblings? Were they the same way as him? And he actually had 6 siblings, but only one lived to adulthood, and that was Paula Hitler. He had a brother named Edmund, but Edmund died when he was about 6 years old, and the neighbors and people around them said that Hitler was just so completely just traumatized by this, and where he was buried was actually just right outside Hitler's window, and the neighbor said that they could see him just looking over into the graveyard from his window, just devastated by this. Paula saw Hitler as her favorite. She had a stepbrother and stepsister, Alois and Angela, but she didn't really know them that much. They were a lot older, and they lived somewhere else. And so even though Hitler was a lot older than her, she played with him often, and she thought of him as kind of like a fatherly figure. When the war started and Hitler became infamous, she lost her job as a secretary, and then her brother made sure that she changed her last name to Wolf, so that she could escape the persecution and whatnot, and then she died in 1960. An insincere and evil friend is more to be feared than a wild beast. A wild beast may wound your body, but an evil friend will wound your mind. People ask, what was the reason behind Hitler's evil and madness and whatnot? Was it just personality, or was there some kind of illness that was behind it, or did his childhood, like the abuse and whatnot, have to do anything with it? Hitler was what you call a hypochondriac. He always thought something was wrong, always thought he had some kind of illness. So one of his assistants said that before, early on, he had just a bottle of pills, and he would always take one before he went to bed. And then he got a personal physician, and then he was given 28 different drugs daily, treatments for different things, from headaches to insomnia to backaches. Among those drugs was actually methamphetamine, and that was to keep him, since he had such bad insomnia, that was to help him have energy and stuff when he woke up and had to go speak somewhere. But this impaired his judgment so much, so they think that might be a reason behind some of his decisions that he made. And then he got Parkinson's disease. It's not it's not very known that he had this, but there are some videos, very few, that show a tremor in his left hand and left leg. But he hid it very well, and this just led to him being treated with more drugs and whatnot. Hitler's childhood might have also had an influence into his anger. His mother babied him, and he was beaten by his father. So he was kind of a conflict in his mind, that he was loved so much by his mother, but he didn't have to do anything. She did everything for him. She waited on him hand and foot, and his father was just so awful and beat him up. As a child, people got already see an angry person for me. He was always the ringleader when he played games, and he always wanted to play games like cops and robbers and stuff, and he'd always be the bad guy when he played those games. If you tell a big enough lie and tell it frequently enough, it will be believed. That's another quote by Hitler. Hitler grew up in a pretty normal family. He's known by so many people for being a mastermind behind the murder of millions of people. And the Nazis and people who followed them were the unfortunate souls who fell to his cunningness and left him and let him influence them. Hopefully the children of the future will continue to learn of Hitler and his awfulness and help to prevent it from happening again.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Hannah.
Go, go.
Yeah.